Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Breaking news at 8 o'clock. New information about a crash we've been following on the south side of Raleigh. I'll show you some of the lingering delays.
And we are tracking wild weather from coast to coast with a big winter storm to our north and another flooding threat out west. How it could all impact your travel plans.
And more nonstop flights are coming here to RDU, with Avelo Airlines making a very big announcement today. We're live in Terminal 1 with a look at how RDU is working to meet travel demand.
It is 8 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. We have the news to start your day. We thank you for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey, starting our day very cold.
Once again.
I think it feels like the 20s out there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking the temperatures. We're still under that freeze warning.
We are. Temperatures are right around freezing right now with a wind chill in the 20s. And then we're going to copy and paste this to tomorrow and again Monday too. But in the middle there, Thursday and Friday, we're going to see a nice little warm up. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. Looks gorgeous out there. This is a live look at Rocky Mount Mills. You can see the sun glinting on the water tower there at Rocky Mount Mills. It is 32 degrees. We have a fairly light wind out of the west at 5 miles per hour, but just 5-mile-an-hour winds could make it feel a lot colder. It feels like 27 in the Triangle, it feels like 25 in Rocky Mount, and 27 in Southern Pines, 23 in Roxborough. Temperatures are hovering close to freezing. And we do have high fire danger. It's going to be a little breezy today, not quite as windy as yesterday, but it's still very dry. So you're encouraged not to do any outdoor burning. You don't want to do it tomorrow either. You're really safer to wait until over the weekend. We're going to see some showers that roll through Friday night, and that should improve burning conditions for the weekend. Our temperatures climb into the upper 50s this afternoon. For reference, we hit 51 yesterday. We'll see lots of sunshine, and it's still going to be a little bit breezy today. But tomorrow we'll see a good 10-degree jump in our temperature. I'll show you what changes, but why it won't last too long. Coming up, Brian.
Here at 8:02, we've been following breaking news this morning. A crash that was blocking some lanes out on 40 westbound, right around the US 1 440 interchange, heading out toward Cary. They have now cleared that crash, and traffic is flowing a lot more freely through there. As we take a look at that live camera at I-40 near Gorman Street, there's the Gorman Street exit there, and you can see where the traffic is flowing fairly well. Still measuring some lingering delays, though, on 40 westbound. About a 21-minute delay overall from 440 on the southeast side of Raleigh out toward that US 1 interchange in southwest Raleigh. And as we zoom in there and take a closer look at the sensor readings, you can see it's still backed up from Hammond Road through South Saunders and Lake Wheeler out to right around the Gorman Street area, and then it clears up quickly. That crash was right here. So it makes sense that once they clear it from that area, the traffic closer to the crash site is going to start moving a little more quickly, and it'll just kind of work its way down the line. But here for the next little while, at least, expect some slowdowns there lingering in South Raleigh. Looking a lot better on 64 westbound heading out of Zebulon toward the Wendell area. We had an earlier crash in the median just before Lizard Lick Road, now measuring only a 2-minute delay on 64 westbound. A few other crashes that we are watching this morning. One on 87 southbound right around the 440 interchange coming in from Knightdale, adding to a little bit of a slowdown there on that southbound side of 87. Also a report of a crash in Rollsville at Main Street at Jonesville Road. And in Garner, we still have that crash reported at the intersection of Garner Road at Jones Sausage Road. Over in Durham, we've been watching some delays on the south side of Durham on 40 eastbound, sun glare backups from around the 751 interchange out toward 55. And just getting reports of a crash up on the west side of Durham, working to get some details about exactly where that is. I'll have an update in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Brian. We're working to learn more about a deadly shooting at a Durham shopping center that kept police on scene for more than 9 hours. Officers packed up and cleared out around 2:30 this morning from Hillsborough Road near Cole Mill Road. That's by the Cookout. They say a man died after being shot in the parking lot. You can see video from Sky 5 and the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. At least 2 cars had windows shot out. This is now the second shooting in that shopping center this week. Police say bullets hit a building after someone fired shots from a car into another vehicle. No one was hurt in that shooting.
Today, a big voting rights case is getting a do-over in the North Carolina Supreme Court and could change how you vote next year. The justices will rehear a case this afternoon on voter ID. If they reverse their decision from last year, you may be required to show ID at the polls as soon as next year. The court previously ruled against the requirement, but that's when it had a Democratic majority. Now the court has mostly Republicans. Voting experts say a reversal in this case could favor GOP candidates in future elections. The hearing starts at 12:45. We'll stream it on WRAL.com.
We're tracking the impacts of severe weather affecting millions of people from coast to coast. You are looking live here at Burlington, Vermont, as the first nor'easter of the season is bringing heavy snow and high winds to the Northeast as well as New England. Hundreds of thousands of people there spent the night without power. There is concern that strong winds could lead to more widespread outages.
I don't have power at all, so I have to set up my generator.
We had it out last week, and up here, it happens, and when it happens for several hours.
Many schools and city offices in the Northeast are closed today because of that storm.
And in California, hundreds of thousands of people could see more flooding as another atmospheric river drenches communities. On the left side of your screen, you can see crews working to repair damage after a levee broke south of San Jose. And on the right, the aftermath of a mudslide that prompted evacuation orders. Power outages are also a problem this morning. This is the 11th atmospheric river to hit California since the winter started. All this wild weather is canceling some flights at RDU International, where you're looking live right now. It's quiet where we are. Right now, 3 of them scheduled to arrive from the northeastern airports are canceled. More than 100 other flights have been called off across the country.
And 2 events are happening today that attest to how much RDU is growing. The number of people traveling is surging and the airport is expanding just to meet demand. WRAL's Laura Levine is at RDU this morning with a hiring event and new nonstop flights arriving there. A lot happening at RDU, Laura.
It is quite a lot. Good morning, Michelle. Today at 10 a.m. in about 2 hours, actually, we are expected to learn more about Avelo Airlines' plans to expand again here at RDU. The terminal itself has welcomed some new airlines within the past year, and it was just last month when Avelo launched 6 direct flights from RDU. Avelo has already opened a base at RDU and created at least 50 jobs, and now the airline plans to announce 3 more nonstop routes, more jobs, and plans to add a second aircraft to their base here. The airport continues to outpace last year's passenger traffic. In January, it saw a 39% jump. Spring and summer travel just around the corner, so RDU officials are gearing up for a robust travel season. That's why now there's a big push to hire more TSA employees. The agency is offering significant pay increase opportunities for future growth, and this is for both full and part-time positions. Anyone interested in applying for these positions can stop by the NC Works Career Center in Durham. They're going to be helping people apply, fill out those forms and applications there. We have more details on WRAL.com. Laura Levine, WRAL News at RDU.
U.S. leaders are warning Vladimir Putin about escalating conflict after a Russian jet hit a U.S. drone. The unmanned drone, called a Reaper, was flying over the Black Sea when 2 Russian jets confronted it. One of the jet's wings hit the drone's propeller, damaging it. The U.S. then brought the drone into the sea after first wiping its software to destroy classified information.
It is another reckless act by President Putin and his military. And I want to tell Mr. Putin, stop this behavior before you are the cause of an unintended escalation.
Russia claims the drone was not over international airspace, but rather over its airspace near Crimea.
We're working to learn more this morning about this crash that shut down a major road in Sampson County. This happened around 8 o'clock last night on NC 24 near Clinton, near Bass Lake Road. You can see that white SUV flipped on its roof. There's no word yet on the cause of the crash or if anyone was hurt.
Tonight, we'll learn more about UNC Health's plans to expand its Easttown campus in Chapel Hill. UNC Health will give an update on the project's timeline during a work session of Chapel Hill Town Council. Right now, there is 1 building on the property at I-40 and 15501. The health system is looking to expand that to 6 buildings, with a new one going up every 3 to 5 years over a 25-year span. The council's work session tonight starts at 6:30.
But this is a lot of power in the hands of one person.
A single judge could change how women across the country can access abortion medication. Just ahead, what's at stake in a big court hearing today.
Plus, 7 officers face charges after the death of one man. How prosecutors say their actions during his arrest are tantamount to murder.
To chilly start this morning, we take a look at what's ahead. Our temperature this afternoon, 57. Then we jump to 67 tomorrow and 72 on Friday. But you see those raindrops in the forecast Friday. It shouldn't affect most of the day, but I'll show you what time the rain arrives and how you can plan around it into the weekend.
good morning to you, Carolina Beach. Look at this beautiful sunrise we have this morning. Couple people there. Hopefully they are bundled up because it is a chilly start this morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is still tracking that freeze warning that we have until 10 o'clock this morning, Elizabeth.
And it's chilly in Carolina Beach, too. Our freeze warning is still in effect as our temperatures are hovering right around freezing right now. And then tomorrow morning, we'll see another one. Probably going to see it again on Monday as we see our temperatures climb a little bit for St. Patrick's Day and then drop again. We're going to see our winds shifting to southwesterly, bringing the warmth in for Thursday and Friday, and then cooling us off behind a front. And that's going to be bringing some chilly air in by Sunday. It's pretty out there right now. Here's a live look at Goldsboro, Durham, Apex, and Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. High pressure system and low pressure system almost in the same position they were yesterday, and that helped to produce some wind. When you have a high and a low fairly close together, they sort of work like magnets. You know, opposites attract. It helps the winds to become stronger when you see the difference in pressure between those two, especially as they get closer. It causes the winds to speed up. So we're still a little breezy for it today, but the low will move off, the high will start to move over us, and that will diminish our winds starting tomorrow and start to help to warm things up a little bit too. Freeze warning in effect again this morning and for tomorrow morning, but then after that, tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be great to get outside. 67 degrees tomorrow afternoon with some sunshine, and then 72 on Friday for St. Patrick's Day. And you can see that 30% chance of rain, but that's going to be much later, say around 9, 10, 11 o'clock. That's when we'll start to see the rain moving in. Here's a look at St. Patrick's Day if you're planning to be out and about. It's a Friday, so I have a feeling a lot of folks will be out. 72 degrees at 4 o'clock. We'll see 66 at 8 o'clock. And even at 10 o'clock, we're still at 63. By 10 o'clock, we'll likely see showers that are moving in. Here's a look at that on Futurecast. You can see the rain in the morning well to the west. And this version of Futurecast is sending maybe an isolated shower toward us by 5 o'clock. But we have a very dry air mass in place, so we may not see that first round really reaching the ground. But I do feel like between 10 and 11, we start to see some showers. It'll rain overnight. And then this version of Futurecast is a little faster than yesterday. So rain starting to move out mid-morning instead of around lunchtime. And then the rest of the day is going to be dry. We should see a few breaks in the clouds on and off. How much rainfall Friday night? Probably anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. That should be our average. And of course, 72 is going to feel really nice for St. Patrick's Day. We'll see increasing clouds, but it'll be nice and mild. Saturday, 62 after the rain moves out, but then colder air filters in. So it'll be a chilly day on Sunday at 51. And Monday morning, we're back to 28. So generally, we're not seeing any sort of long-term warm up yet, Brian.
8:15 right now, Elizabeth. Let's head out to our map and show you those live sensor readings. That earlier crash at 40 westbound around the US 1 and 440 interchange has cleared. Still seeing a little bit of a lingering delay through that area. We had a report of another crash out on 40 westbound right around the Lake Wheeler Road interchange. Not really seeing any big delays directly related to that. I think these backups between Hammond Road through the South Saunders Street interchange are mostly lingering backups from that earlier crash. Still, you're going to run into some backups as you head westbound on I-40 through South Raleigh. Over on the west side of Durham, watch for a crash on Fulton Street near Irwin Road. Not seeing big delays at this point according to the sensor readings, and your other major routes in Durham are looking okay. A little bit of a northbound delay on 885 heading between Cornwallis and TW Alexander, and then some backups on 40 eastbound from 751 out toward Fayetteville Road. Other major approaches into Raleigh, we are seeing some backups on 87 southbound heading around the Smithfield Road interchange. Once you get to 540, it looks pretty good. If you're heading toward the Beltline and then picking up 440 westbound from there, you're going to run into the usual delays between 87 out toward the Wake Forest Road interchange. I'm going to take a quick check of your major approaches into Durham. They're looking okay with the exception of that eastbound trip out of Chapel Hill. Again, that's mostly congestion and sun glare delays there on the south side of Durham between 15501 and 885, about a 10-minute backup.
And breaking here in the WRAL Live Center, the collapse of those two U.S. banks having a big effect on stock futures this morning. Let's take a look at the big board. You see all the major indices. Stunning numbers this morning. The Dow off more than 500 points. The NASDAQ in the negative, more than 160 points. Of course, the S&P in the red as well. This is all happening as Credit Suisse, those shares sinking for the second day in a row after the Saudi National Bank decided to pull its support from Credit Suisse. And of course, in the next half hour, we'll have the highly anticipated PPI report, another economic indicator about inflation.
All right, thank you, Ken. 7 sheriff's deputies in Virginia are facing second-degree murder charges after a man died in their custody. 28-year-old Irvo Otenio died 3 days after being arrested in Henrico County, which is just outside of Richmond, back on March 3rd. Deputies took him to a state mental hospital where deputies say they restrained him after he became combative. 3 hours later, the Virginia State Police responded to investigate his death. The deputies who were charged all turned themselves in yesterday. And we're working to learn more about a house fire in Johnston County. It happened late last night on Princess Drive, that's in the Cleveland area. Investigators have told us no one was hurt in the fire, but they're still trying to figure out what caused it in the first place.
Access to the abortion pill is facing a big test today in the courts. A federal judge in Texas will hear arguments in a lawsuit from Christian conservatives targeting the pill mifepristone. It's the most common form of abortion in the country. The lawsuit aims to overturn FDA approval of the drug, which has been in place for more than 2 decades. There's almost no precedent for a lone judge overruling the scientific decisions of the FDA.
There's never been an instance where anyone has overturned the ruling of the FDA against the FDA's wishes. And the notion that it's been 23 years and the FDA has repeatedly reaffirmed the efficacy and safety of this drug makes it sort of ridiculous.
Access to the abortion pill is only allowed in North Carolina with a doctor's prescription.
The Attorney General's office is partnering with the Carolina Hurricanes for a drug take-back event. You can drop off any unused leftover medication outside PNC Arena today. Raleigh Police and the SBI are manning the drop box. You can safely dispose of prescriptions between 11:30 this morning and 1:30 today, or between 4:30 and 6:30.
A bill that would limit how North Carolina schools teach students about racial issues could get a vote in the State House this week. It was just approved by the House Education Committee. The bill would ban schools from teaching about systemic racism or white privilege, or that anyone is responsible for the actions of past members of their race or sex. It's a response to conservative concerns about critical race theory, which is not taught in K-12 schools. Representative John Torbett filed the same bill 2 years ago, but Governor Cooper vetoed it.
RTI International is bringing experts together to talk about strategies to address gun violence and other important topics. The nonprofit Research Institute is hosting its symposium on community safety and policing research today and tomorrow. It's happening at its offices in RTP. Topics of discussion will include gun violence, recruiting and retention in policing, and recent trends in the illicit drug landscape. You can register to attend in person or online by visiting RTI's website.
Pushback against a plan to raise your electricity bill is growing. Duke Energy Progress wants its customers to pay more for energy so that it can improve its power grid. Duke Energy is asking state regulators for about a 20% hike over 3 years, with the first 11% increase happening as soon as October 1st. If approved, the hike could cost a typical home nearly $26 more per month by 2025. In a hearing last night, customers shared why that's too much to pay.
We bought a house here in 2014, expecting this to be a retirement. The rates are getting out of hand. We are looking to relocate again.
The commissioners will have several more public hearings before a decision is made, including a virtual one. The next hearing is March 20th in Snow Hill.
The Triangle's newest Publix grocery store is now open in Durham. The new store is at Ellis Crossing on Eunice Road. The 46,000 square foot store will employ about 130 people. It opened its doors within the last hour.
Our teacher of the week is fairly new to the profession, but her talent already is earning her big accolades. WRAL's Brian Schrader meets a Cumberland County educator who has a message for everyone about helping children succeed.
Tanya McGill's path to the classroom started as a cafeteria worker and school bus driver.
And it did not take me long to decide that, hey, Miss McGill, you can do more, or you need to do more.
McGill is now a teacher, leading fourth graders at Fayetteville's Morganton Road Elementary School.
It is a challenging job, but it is rewarding.
McGill has been teaching for just 2 years, but her talent already is showing. She's Cumberland County's 2023 Beginning Teacher of the Year and a finalist for the Empower NC Beginning Teacher of the Year. McGill says we all have a role to play in preparing future generations.
It takes everybody working together to be here for these kids. That means the parents or the guardians that are at home, the school piece, the teachers, the principal, the community. Everybody working together is what it takes to get our kids to where they need to be.
Tanya McGill is WRAL's Teacher of the Week. I'm Brian Schrader, WRAL News.
I love her spirit and her message. You can look at all of our honored teachers and nominate a teacher you'd like us to recognize. Go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Just ahead today, we'll find out how North Carolina's governor wants to prioritize how your tax dollars are spent, what he plans to focus on, and why it might not work out the way he wants.
Plus, how NC State is coming to terms with the 10th student death this academic year.
Listen to WRAL News Plus on your radio in Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good Wednesday morning. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey with your top stories. We're going to begin with Brian Schrader tracking a couple of backups around the area. Brian.
It's been a busy morning out there as we take a look at that live map. We have a few crashes around Wake County, one over in Durham at Fulton and Irwin. I want to show you the three biggest delays that I'm watching right now on those sensors. We're going to start off on 40 westbound, coming around from the south side of Raleigh out toward Cary, about a 10-minute delay. There's a report of a crash right around Lake Wheeler Road, contributing to at least some of those backups. On the Beltline, a report of a crash on 440 westbound between the Wake Forest Road and Six Forks Road interchanges, about a 10-minute delay there from 87 around to Wade Avenue, and sun glare delays in South Durham on 40 eastbound, about a 10-minute backup from 15501 to the Durham Freeway.
It's a pretty start out there with lots of sunshine, but it's still cold. We have a freeze warning in effect for this morning and again tomorrow morning. Farmers are out there certainly doing their best to protect strawberries and some of those fruit tree crops as well. And Apex looks beautiful this morning. We can see nothing but sunshine there. Our temperatures are still in the low 30s in most places. 32 in Lewisburg, 33 Fayetteville, 31 Irwin, 32 in Rocky Mount. Still feels like 20s with the wind chill. We climb into the upper 50s this afternoon. If you're looking to exercise outside, we'll stay in the 50s all the way until around 7 p.m. and it stays dry, but a little breezy.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Durham police cleared out of the shopping center on Hillsborough Road after 2 o'clock this morning, more than 9 hours after a man was shot and killed. No word on the gunman. Monday, officers say two vehicles shot at each other in the same area. No one was hurt. Next on Fox 50, how mental health will play a big role in Governor Cooper's plan to spend your tax dollars today. And ahead on Today, one of the big stars of Bridgerton is in Studio 1A.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Beautiful but cold out there this morning. Freeze warning in effect this morning and then again tomorrow morning. But I'll show you why we'll warm up a little bit by the end of the week.
And it's been a rough morning in South Raleigh with a couple of crashes there on 40 westbound. We'll get an update on those delays.
And how a change of heart from our state's highest court could change the way you vote as soon as next year. Wish this cold weather would change, but we're still with it for a few more days yet. It is 8:30. Thanks for sticking with us on this Wednesday. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, you definitely need the heavy jackets still. This morning I was saying I should have broken out the Uggs. I put them away too soon. Elizabeth, what am I going to do? I have to take them out, right?
It's almost like it's fall, right? Because, you know, we already had warm temperatures in January and February. Now we've cooled back down again. But it is a pattern that we do sometimes see when we have warm temperatures, you know, in January or February. It cools down a little bit for March. And that's what we're seeing. Freeze warning in effect this morning. We'll see it again tomorrow morning as well. We're still sitting at 32. This is a live look at Zebulon and the historic town hall. You can kind of get the gist. The camera's shaking just a little bit. It's breezy. Our winds are coming out of the west at 5, but it's likely to be a fairly breezy afternoon. We do have a wind chill because of it. Our wind chill is still in the 20s. So look at the white box there on the right side. That's what it really feels like with the wind chill. We're looking at mid to upper 20s. And on the left left side is the actual temperature. We're holding in the low 30s right now for temperatures. But that wind also means that fire danger is high again today like it was yesterday. So you want to put off any outdoor burning for at least the next several days until we see that rain move through late on Friday. Hour by hour, mid-40s at lunchtime. We'll see a high of 57, which is a little warmer than yesterday, but it's still going to be on the breezy side. Tomorrow we'll see temperatures at least 10 degrees warmer in the afternoon. I'll show you how long our little warm spell lasts coming up. Brian.
8:32, and want to get you an update on traffic. Generally, we have fairly good news. Things are improving slowly as we take a live look at I-40 at South Saunders Street. You see the westbound traffic heading away from Hammond Road back towards South Saunders is flowing pretty freely there. There's a report of some sort of an incident on 40 westbound right around the Lake Wheeler Road interchange. We're still seeing backups of about 7 minutes heading between South Saunders out toward the Gorman Street area and maybe just beyond. It's a little slow also once you get out toward that US 1 interchange, but overall that's an improvement over what we've been seeing this morning with a couple of crashes out on 40 westbound. Tracking a few other problems around the triangle this morning, including a crash reported on 440 westbound, right around the Six Forks Road area. The delays that we're seeing are really not that bad around the crash site itself, but when you add it together with the usual backups on 440 westbound, away from 87 up toward Capitol Boulevard, and then some of the other slowdowns heading around toward Wade Avenue, we're looking at about a 10-minute slowdown overall on 440 westbound around Raleigh. Over on the west side of Durham, watch for a crash at Fulton Street at Irwin Road, right there around the Duke Hospital area. Not seeing any big delays with the sensor readings out there. Your other major approaches into Durham are looking good, including 40 eastbound leaving Chapel Hill. We've been tracking some sun glare delays there through the morning. Right now, only about a 4-minute backup between 751 out toward 885.
All right, thank you, Brian. Happening today, our state's highest court, now controlled by Republicans, will consider a controversial voter ID law. WRAL's Naya Hardin joins us from downtown Raleigh to explain how it could change the way you vote as soon as next year. Good morning, Naya.
Good morning. Well, protesters will likely be out here this afternoon right in front of the Justice Building, as we know that there is another big issue on the table that could change how people vote. The North Carolina Supreme Court will decide whether people should have to show photo identification to vote. Voter ID has been ruled unconstitutional for racial discrimination multiple times. The case was decided by a Democrat-led court last year. Republicans took over in January and requested lawmakers reconsider the case. They believe the original ruling was not only wrong, but also politically motivated. WRAL politics reporter Will Doran says rehearings like this are very rare.
The rules for how justice works say that if new facts come to light, then the court is allowed to rehear these cases. It's incredibly rare. It's only happened twice in the last 30 years before these two cases. And critics say, well, there aren't really new facts. It's just new justices on the court. And so that's a big debate.
The court will start at 12:45 this afternoon. WRAL will be live streaming this on the WRAL News app. Naya Hardin, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And we'll learn more today about Governor Roy Cooper's plan for your tax dollars. The governor and state budget director, Kristen Walker, will unveil their budget recommendations at 11 o'clock this morning. The plan is expected to include $1 billion to address mental health and substance abuse. There's also double-digit raises for teachers and additional funding for broadband expansion. It's up to state lawmakers to decide what's ultimately included. Both the House and Senate will release their plans by April and May, respectively.
Ahead of today's budget reveal, state mental health workers will be rallying for new safety rules and higher pay. According to a state legislature research team, as of last month, close to 3,700 positions are vacant. That's more than triple the vacancies in 2020. The union has been reporting for months that some units have entirely closed, while others remain 50 to 60% understaffed. Workers say it's causing stress and leading to more injuries and burnout. Today's rally is set for 1:15 in Butner.
Parents are calling for changes at NC State University after hearing news of a 10th student death this academic year. The latest student to lose his life is Timothy Parker. His friends told WRAL he died from an accidental drug overdose off campus on Monday. Parents whose kids are preparing to attend NC State in the fall are taking note of the trend. Several other students died by suicide. Mental health counselors say students need all the support they can get.
Aware of your neighbor. If everyone was in tune with the person next door and what's going on, we might be able to pay attention to the things that seem a bit off and to reach out for help and not be afraid.
And Massarelli mentioned the benefit of social media parent groups as well, and parents being willing to lend a helping hand for students in need.
In 90 minutes, the Task Force for Safer Schools will meet to talk about new programs aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of kids. The task force is expected to talk about the new programs they'll launch at schools statewide. We don't know what the programs are specifically, but we do know they're expected to launch next month. The meeting starts at 10 this morning in Raleigh.
Engines full power and liftoff.
Another successful launch from SpaceX. Just ahead, how its payload will help us navigate the future of human space travel. Plus,
he said, "What's wrong with her?" I said, "She's gone. She's gone."
how the community is mourning a couple killed in a crash involving a local sheriff's deputy.
Plus, we'll ask WRAL investigative reporter Kristen Severance about what she uncovered in a new documentary focused on the rising number of fentanyl overdoses in North Carolina.
.841 on your Wednesday morning. Here's a look at the Bull City, Durham. A nice, beautiful, sunny start to your day, but it sure is cold out there. Definitely need the jacket, maybe even the gloves as you head out the door. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking these really chilly temperatures this morning. We're just near freezing.
If I were headed out the door to walk the dog, I would definitely grab the gloves. Your hands are going to be exposed for any period of time. It's not like you're going to get frostbite. It's just, a little uncomfortable out there. It looks gorgeous, though. You can see the flags here right outside the Zebulon Historic Town Hall, moving around just a little bit. It's a touch breezy out there. It's 32 degrees officially around the Triangle area. We're going to climb into the mid-40s at lunchtime and then into the upper 50s this afternoon. Our dew point's 17. That just means it's very dry, and that's going to lead us to high fire danger later on today. We have, of course, a freeze warning that's in effect for just about another hour this morning, and then for tomorrow morning again. We'll likely see it on Monday morning as well. The temperature is dipping into the 20s again, so farmers are hard at work trying to watch out for those strawberries and all the fruit trees out there. You're going to want to watch out for the wind chill. Temperatures are feeling like mid-20s in Rocky Mount and Goldsboro. The number there in the white box is the wind chill, so it feels like 26 in Fayetteville, and Roxboro feels like 27 in Southern Pines. The number in the blue box is the actual temperature. We're sitting close to freezing pretty much everywhere. It's going to be a bit breezy today, not quite as windy as yesterday, but still enough that's going to make it feel colder than it really is. We're going to see steady winds out of the west-northwest today at about 10 to 15, gusting to around 25. And with the low humidity and the dry conditions, we do have high fire danger again today, so you want to put off any outdoor burning for a couple of days. Friday's probably going to be okay. It's going to be a bit warmer by then and less windy, and then it'll be a little moister over the weekend. We're going to see some rain on Friday night. Thursday, tomorrow, 30 degrees again in the morning with that freeze warning in effect. Friday and Saturday morning, a little warmer in the 40s, and our afternoon highs are going to jump up to 57 today, and then 67 Thursday and 72 on Friday. We do have a chance of showers late on Friday into early Saturday, so keep that in mind. That 72 looks nice, but there could be some showers to wrap up the day. The cold temperatures here with us again today, but after that, we're going to see a bit of a warm up for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be close to normal. And then after that, Sunday into much of next week, we're right back into that cold air. It's going to stick with us for a bit. So 72 for St. Patrick's Day. The models are beginning to speed up the rain just a little bit. Certainly, you can still get out and try to enjoy some of that warmth. They'll be updating that, of course, with the newer computer model runs, watching to see how fast that rain comes in. After that, we're looking at it clearing out pretty early on Saturday. Saturday's high 62, but a colder Sunday at 51. And there's that 28 for Monday morning. We also have a chance of showers on Tuesday.
And breaking here in the WRAL Live Center, the Producer Price Index report just dropped just minutes ago, and we have the headlines right here, courtesy of CNBC. It shows that the prices producers pay for goods and services and construction actually declined 0.1% in February. This is highly unexpected, according to observers. Now, of course, this PPI report shows what the goods and services are being paid for, and which influences what those goods and services does end up costing you and me. And this comes one day after the CPI report that shows inflation is still high. These are all inflation indicators that the Federal Reserve will be taking into account when that body meets March 21st.
Ken, thank you. The search is growing this morning for the person wanted for shooting and killing a 15-year-old in Edgecombe County. It happened Monday night on Tarboro Street around 11 p.m. The boy was found with gunshot wounds just feet from his home, and he died at the hospital. Rocky Mount Police spent the morning stopping traffic nearby, asking people if they had any information. This is the third child shot in the past 6 weeks there. Family, friends, and community members are mourning a couple killed in a car crash involving a sheriff's deputy. They gathered last night in Harnett County to remember the lives of Brian and Patricia Finch, who were from Minnesota. The Highway Patrol said the deputy was involved in some sort of pursuit on NC 210 when he hit the couple's truck. One man who was driving by the crash scene immediately after it happened says it is something he will not forget.
It was pretty bad, and it got to a point where as we looked over, my son, he said, "There's somebody in there." And I was like, and I looked and I was like, okay, don't pay it no mind, but don't pay it no mind, because the way it looked, and he said, "What's wrong with her?" I said, "She's gone. She's gone."
Joby said as he and his family passed the scene, he and his sons prayed for the victims. He said it was important for them to attend the vigil.
The number of people dying from drug overdoses in North Carolina has never been higher. Officials say the deadly drug fentanyl was involved in more than 75% of those deaths. And it's the subject of our latest WRAL doc, Crisis Next Door, which airs tonight at 7:30 on WRAL. And WRAL investigative documentary reporter Kristen Severance produced the doc and joins us now with more. Kristen, why take this on?
You know, Michelle, you hear about fentanyl so much, but there's so much confusion about what it is and really why it's so deadly. You know, we really wanted to explain why this drug is seemingly everywhere and why it's leading to so many overdose deaths. You know, fentanyl is an opioid. It's a painkiller. In its pharmaceutical form, when it's produced by pharmaceutical companies and approved by the FDA, it's used for acute and chronic pain. But you see, when we're talking about fentanyl from an overdose perspective, we're talking about illicit fentanyl. That is fentanyl produced by drug cartels and used for money-making purposes, not for healthcare. It is 50 times more potent than heroin. As little as 2 milligrams can lead to death. So basically, drug dealers can use just a little amount and make their drugs extremely powerful. And it's being put in everything: heroin, cocaine, pills, marijuana. So people are doing drugs sometimes for the first time and not even knowing fentanyl is in there, and it's killing people almost instantly.
That's really scary. I know you also spoke with some families who lost loved ones to fentanyl. What did they share with you?
This was just so sad. I mean, this has destroyed them. We talked to 3 sets of parents who all lost children to fentanyl, all accidental overdoses. They all said, you know, addiction and substance abuse disorder can happen to anyone. It does not discriminate. It doesn't matter where you live, how much money you have. This is happening everywhere. And here's just a little more from some of those parents.
My biggest problem is I have what I call it my Amanda-shaped hole in my heart that is never going to be filled by anything else.
I think if there's anybody out there who's having suspicions about someone they love, maybe they need to hear Amanda's story.
We're not going to be quiet anymore because, I mean, people need to hear it. I mean, the real lives of normal people that are losing children every day. I mean, every day.
And we know we can't save a child, because if we could have saved a child, we would have saved our 2.
We all tried different things and different combinations of things. And then we each wish we had done the thing the other person did, but we ended up with the same outcome. Our kids are dead.
It is so sad, tragic, but every parent who we interviewed, they wanted to talk about it. They want people to know this is happening really in every community across the state, and they want parents to know now, you know, they said before it's too late, Michelle.
Yeah, it's okay to ask for help, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Kristen, thank you.
You bet.
And you can watch the entire documentary Crisis Next Door tonight at 7:30 on WRAL.
1. Engines full power. And liftoff.
A SpaceX cargo ship is on its way to the International Space Station. It launched last night carrying new science projects, supplies, and equipment for the crew. One of the science projects will study the transportation and survival of life in space and on other planets. The ship is due to arrive at the space station tomorrow.
Alzheimer's advocates from across the state will be in Raleigh today to support the fight against the disease. They're gathering at the North Carolina Museum of History. They're pushing lawmakers to make changes to state policy to better address the cost of Alzheimer's treatment. The event is happening from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. today.
Parents are demanding answers after hundreds of middle school students were unexpectedly searched last week. It happened at Hope Mills Middle School on Friday. Parents told the school board last night that they were never notified. A letter was later sent home with students. The district says the security screening was performed because of an increase in negative student behavior, as well as recent weapons found on campuses. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office says it did not authorize the search. The district says it's looking into whether proper procedures were followed.
And at the Johnston County School Board meeting, a group of teachers spoke out against the state's Board of Education's plan for a new licensure system. The proposed overhaul would tie a teacher's pay to performance rather than years of experience. It would also allow teachers to get more advanced licenses through both reviews and student test scores.
Our state superintendent, Kathy Truitt, and the PEPSIC committee have cooked up a plan they are calling Pathways to Excellence, saying the teacher shortage is due to a licensure problem. I don't really see who this plan benefits except for the testing company. It is definitely not good for North Carolina, our teachers, or our students.
Currently, teachers are paid based on their experience. State leaders say the plan would help retain teachers and boost student success by giving teachers tougher evaluations.
Time for our Go Ask Mom segment. St. Patrick's Day is Friday, and of course the celebrations will be all weekend. There are some great ways to celebrate with your family. WRAL lifestyle editor Kathy Henrahan is here with 3 cool ideas. Kathy, first we'll start with 2 scavenger hunt options.
Who doesn't love a scavenger hunt, right? Triangle Treasure Hunt has a scavenger hunt on Saturday starting at Raleigh Union Station. You can solve St. Patrick's Day themed puzzles and challenges. Teams are competing to get to a treasure chest and claim the grand prize. Children 10 years old and younger are welcome to participate for free with the purchase of an adult ticket. Now across town, we got a second one going on. Search the City Scavenger Hunt. It starts at Moore Square around the same time. You're going to be looking for hidden green shamrocks around town. The first to find all of them will win a gift basket with items from local businesses.
And hopefully the luck of the Irish will be with you as you do your scavenger hunt, right? Raleigh's newest beer garden is also hosting a family-friendly event that will be on Saturday.
This is going to be really cool. So Tap Yard Raleigh just opened, and they're welcoming families and well-behaved pets to their Shamrock and Celebration Saturday from noon to 6 p.m. It's going to be food trucks, local vendor market, face painting. So a lot of open space too, so you can go out with your family and just relax.
And now steering folks to another fun option. If monster trucks are more your thing, PNC Arena has you covered.
Yeah, you can always celebrate St. Patrick's Day weekend with some monster trucks. It's returning to Raleigh this weekend, Monster Jam. Their shows Saturday and Sunday. Those monster trucks, look at them. I mean, it's 12,000 tons of monster trucks go flying. It's amazing. Tickets are still available for these shows.
Just incredible. That takes so much skill. For more on all these family-friendly events, you can go to WRAL.com and search Out and About. Kathy, thank you so much.
And before we head to break, here are your winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check on traffic and weather next.